Hello and all, welcome to another episode of MMA Vision Analysis. Did Alex Pereira actually underestimate Magomed Ankalaev? If so, what is it in particular that misled Alex Pereira? We're going to get into what I think the reason that indeed Alex Pereira underestimated a Magomed Ankalaev. Before getting started, make sure to like, subscribe, click that notification to get all of the that is new from this channel, your channel, one and only MMA Vision Analysis. Leading up to UFC 313, there was a lot of controversy surrounding Alex Pereira. Daniel Cormier spoke about it on multiple platforms. Daniel Cormier was worried about Alex Pereira being distracted and not focused on the goal of UFC 313, which was defeating Magomed Ankalaev. Obviously, Alex Pereira came back and he had a very good response, or it sounded really good, directed towards Daniel Cormier. He claimed that he trains everywhere and his entourage or his team or sparring partners fly or travel everywhere with him. Stop right there and you're going to find a problem with that in itself. But hey, he said he's done it before. I'm going to take him for his word. Okay, you've done it before. But Alex Pereira, UFC 313, for me, lacked something. And that something in fighting terms is that instinct to finish your opponent. And you know what kind of instinct we're talking about here. Leading up to the fight, in the fight, it seemed like a relaxed Alex Pereira. Maybe overconfident or misunderstanding and underestimating the style of Magomed Ankalaev. Maybe it's Ankalaev's last performance that led Alex Pereira to be so confident because, to be fair, last time around, I'm talking about the fight before UFC 313 for Magomed, Ankalaev did not look good at all. A matter of fact, I think he barely won that fight. A matter of fact, I want to say it was a controversial decision. He had a very hard time reaching his opponent that night. I believe it was a Middle East fight card as well. Trouble finding combinations. He looked like he had problems with the reach. Personally, I thought he was going to have a real hard time against Alex Pereira. But for Magomed, I think the focus on Alex Pereira was just more intense than it was for his last opponent. That's why we saw Magomed the way that, he displayed the fantastic performance and he looked the way that he did. But on top of that, I really think that Alex Pereira thought that this was going to be an easy task for a couple reasons. Magomed Ankalaev's last performance and his own performances, right? His last performance was against a Khalil Roundtree, which, some say that, early stage of that fight, he had trouble. It wasn't real trouble, for me at least. But as the fight graduated, he was able to take Khalil Roundtree to deep waters and eventually drown him, right? Maybe it's the two things that I just mentioned. Ankalaev's last fight, right, which was a terrible performance. For me, with all respect to the light heavyweight champion, I'm talking about before UFC 313. And Alex Pereira's form leading up to UFC 313. Overestimating his own powers, underestimating the opponent. But there was one thing that was undeniable leading up to UFC 313. When it comes to the guys that come from the Caucasus, let's just say that, the Caucasus Mountains. Because now we have, guys that are from Georgia. We have Armenian guys. We have guys from Azerbaijan. We have guys from Dagestan, which is all the Caucasus, right? Mirad Vilashvili, obviously Ilya Topuria from Georgia, a guy that just competed, Fizayev, is from Azerbaijan, Arman Tsarukyan is from Armenia, and obviously all the famous guys from Dagestan, whether it be Habib, Islam, and what have you. Now we have, right, another guy that comes from the Caucasus, Ankalaev. We know one thing for certain leading up to the fight. 8 or 9 times out of 10, when those guys enter fights, they get the best result possible. And I'm talking about the best of those guys, right? Mirab. We have Ilya Topuria, Islam Makhachev, Habib Nurmagomedov, now Ankalaev, perhaps a Chechnyan. I'm not sure if Chechnya is on the Caucasus Mountains, but it's very, very close indeed. Perhaps Chimaev is the next middleweight champion. I really think, Hamzat Chimaev is next middleweight champion. And all of these guys, leading up to the fight, one thing, that their mindsets, those guys, their mindsets are unshakable, right? That was one thing for certain. So if you're a betting person, you would bet on Ankalaev's mentality heading into UFC 313. And you would be questioning Alex Pereira's, let's say, strategies leading up to UFC 313. Whether most of us like it or not, Ankalaev is the light heavyweight champion, and perhaps Alex Pereira can regather himself, have a better game plan for the rematch between the two, because I think it's inevitable, perhaps end of year 2025. If you made it this far, appreciate you for sticking around. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and subscribe for more.